A man stands beside a fire under a sky filled with stars. He is the strongest hunter in the group. He can throw a spear farther than anyone else. He can defeat almost anyone in a fight. If you had to guess who became the leader of his tribe, the answer would seem obvious. But for much of human history, that guess may have been completely wrong. And that's strange, because when we imagine ancient leaders, we usually picture powerful warriors giving orders while everyone else obeys. Yet, when anthropologists studied many hunter-gatherer societies, the way humans lived for most of our existence, they found something unexpected. In many groups, the strongest person wasn't necessarily the leader. So, if fear and strength weren't enough, who did ancient people actually choose to follow? And why does the answer still shape our lives today? Imagine a small camp tens of thousands of years ago. A few families sit around a fire, children play nearby, hunters return with food. No police, no prisons, no kings, no governments, just people. Now think about the challenge they faced. A group needed cooperation to survive. They had to hunt together, share food, protect children, resolve conflicts, make decisions. Someone needed influence. But here's the problem. If one person became too controlling, others could simply leave. Unlike modern societies, many ancient humans lived in relatively mobile groups. A leader couldn't rely on a throne, or a palace, or an army. They needed something far more fragile, the willingness of others to follow. And that changes everything, because suddenly, being feared might not be the best strategy. In fact, it could be a terrible one. Anthropologists have found evidence that many hunter-gatherer groups strongly resisted individuals who tried to dominate others. A person who became too aggressive could lose support. Sometimes they were mocked, ignored, or challenged by the group itself. This creates a fascinating mystery. If dominance alone wasn't enough, what actually made someone influential? The first clue comes from food. Picture a successful hunter returning with a large animal. You might expect him to keep most of it for himself. But in many hunter-gatherer societies, food was widely shared. At first, this seems unfair. Why should the best hunter give away so much of what he earned? But the deeper researchers looked, the more they realized something important. Generosity created influence. A person who consistently helped others became valuable to everyone. People trusted them, respected them, listened to them. Suddenly, leadership wasn't just about strength, it was about relationships. But that's only part of the story. Because being generous alone didn't guarantee influence either. Imagine two hunters. One is skilled and shares food. The other is average but knows how to settle arguments. When tensions rise, people naturally turn to him. Why? Because conflict is dangerous. In a small tribe, a serious dispute could divide the entire group. Someone who could maintain peace became incredibly valuable, and now another piece of the puzzle appears. Many ancient leaders may have acted less like rulers and more like coordinators. Their job wasn't always commanding people. It was helping people work together. That's a very different picture from the one most of us imagine. But the surprises don't stop there. Researchers studying traditional societies have repeatedly found that social intelligence often mattered as much as physical ability. Knowing who was upset, who needed help, who could cooperate with whom. These skills could make someone influential even if they weren't the strongest person in the group. In other words, some ancient leaders succeeded because they understood people, not because they controlled them. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn, because we often assume leadership evolved from power, but in many situations, power may have evolved from trust. Think about that for a moment. A person gains trust. Trust creates influence. Influence creates leadership. Leadership creates power, not the other way around. The answer may have been hiding in plain sight the entire time. The strongest warrior could force people to obey for a while, but the person who earned trust could inspire people to cooperate willingly, and cooperation was often the difference between survival and disaster. A tribe filled with conflict might struggle to hunt, struggle to share resources, struggle to survive harsh seasons. A tribe that worked together had a powerful advantage, which means ancient humans weren't simply choosing leaders. They were choosing the people most capable of holding the group together, and suddenly this stops being a story about the distant past. Because look around today. Modern offices, communities, friend groups, even entire nations. We still pay attention to many of the same signals. Can this person be trusted? Will they help the group? Can they solve conflicts? Do they understand people? Thousands of years have passed. Cities appeared. Kingdoms rose and fell. Technology transformed the world. But the human brain that evaluates leaders was shaped long before any of that existed. The ancient campfire never completely disappeared. It's still there, hidden inside us. And perhaps that's the biggest surprise of all. Ancient leadership wasn't really about finding the strongest person in the tribe. It was about finding someone others wanted to follow. Because in the end, the most powerful force in human history was never fear. It was cooperation. And every time we decide who deserves our trust, we're participating in a process so old that it began long before the first cities, long before the first kings, and perhaps long before anyone ever called themselves a leader.